the 8th of September 2025. At dawn, war erupted across Ukraine's eastern front. Russia unleashed 320 drones, 70 tanks, and 1,200 elite troops in a massive strike. The ground shook as Russian armor thundered forward like a steel tsunami. But Ukraine, led by General Syrsky, had prepared a deadly trap. A premature blast tore the sky apart. Ukraine's trap triggered too soon. Panic rippled through the lines, but Syrsky refused to flinch. Within minutes, Ukraine unleashed its hidden swarm. Nets tangled Russian UAVs, dragging them like prey from the skies. Ukraine's guns lit the heavens with fire-shredding drones midair. The battlefield turned into chaos, steel fire, and shattered machines. 3 Russian drones broke through, striking a forward base. But Ukraine struck back with swarms of kamikaze drones. In minutes 27, Russian tanks were torn apart. Panic spread as infantry scattered under fire. From both flanks, Ukrainian armor roared out of the forests. 19 Russian tanks were reduced to flaming wrecks. Desperate Russian fire blasted forests, but hit nothing. Caught in crossfire, infantry fled into barns and ditches. 2 Ukrainian tanks were hit, but counterfire silenced attackers. By dawn's end, 40% of Russia's armor lay in ruins. Russian squads dug in, fighting with suicidal defiance. Ukraine answered with artillery leveling strongholds. Overhead reconnaissance drones scanned every hiding place. Kamikaze UAVs plunged into trenches and barns with precision. Russian conscripts surrendered, pleading through drone cameras. Others fought to the last bullet, refusing to yield. One farmhouse held out for 40 minutes before collapse. Drone feeds relayed exact coordinates to ground units. Motorcycle squads raced into battle, encircling survivors. Survivors dropped weapons, surrounded and outnumbered. By noon, Russian lines had disintegrated into fragments. General Syrsky prepared the final blow. Drones armed with charges hunted survivors hiding in trees. In less than 20 minutes, 150 more were killed by drones. Motorcycle units closed in, firing rifles and grenades. Over 300 Russians surrendered alive. Out of 70 tanks, fewer than 20 remained. Over 800 Russian troops lay dead or wounded. For Moscow, a decisive strike had become a nightmare. Ukraine had survived and annihilated an entire assault brigade. What Moscow envisioned as a breakthrough collapsed into chaos. Scattered squads clung to survival, firing at the sky in vain. Ukrainian armor returned fire with precision, shattering resistance. Russian survivors huddled in ruins out of ammunition. Ukrainian drones broadcast the collapse in real time. Entire formations vanished. An assault brigade erased in hours. For Ukraine, it was proof that courage outmatches firepower. Numbers alone could not secure Moscow's victory. Flexibility and leadership turned disaster into victory. On September 8th, Moscow met humiliation in Donetsk. Columns of smoke marked the wreckage of Russia's ambition. An entire brigade destroyed in a single morning. Flexibility and creativity overturned overwhelming odds. Technology reshaped the battlefield faster than doctrine could. Russia's iron wall became a burning graveyard. Ukrainian armor rolled forward, securing the field. Soldiers rode atop tanks, waving to comrades. Across the steppe, echoes of fire marked Moscow's defeat. The will of a nation had triumphed over brute force. September 8th will be remembered as Moscow's humiliation. By afternoon, Donetsk's horizon was a sea of smoke and silence. Ukraine's defenses had turned chaos into triumph. The assault that should have crushed Ukraine ended in ashes. What began with confidence ended with humiliation. General Syrsky's calm turned disaster into opportunity. Leadership and resolve outweighed sheer numbers. The battlefield was now Ukraine's to command. Survivors fled in chaos, leaving weapons behind. Even the strongest walls of steel can fall. For Ukraine, September 8th was a day of survival and victory. The wreckage of steel became Ukraine's shield of survival. For every Russian advance, Ukraine had an answer. Smoke and fire marked the grave of Moscow's confidence. Ukraine's soldiers pressed forward, unyielding in resolve. This was more than survival, it was defiance. Moscow's billion-dollar assault lay in ruins. The lesson was clear: numbers do not guarantee victory. Flexibility, courage, and leadership shaped Ukraine's victory. September 8th became a day Moscow could not erase. Ukraine stood unbroken, its will stronger than steel. The world watched as Russia's pride lay shattered. For Moscow, it was a day of humiliation carved in fire. For Ukraine, it was a lesson: courage shapes destiny. The battlefield echoed with silence, broken only by victory. $1 billion in steel could not break a nation's will. History would mark this as the day Moscow stumbled. Ukraine's defiance became the world's lesson. In Donetsk, Ukraine proved its will is stronger than steel.